Right, hello all. We'll start in a minute. Just waiting the last few to join. Well, last at least when it's 4 o'clock Helsinki time. Start. Check with myself friend. Myself friend. I'm gonna make a mess of it. Right. Right, good afternoon all. It is 16 hours in Helsinki time, 2 o'clock my time, but we can start. I'm sure you all attended a few of these before, but just to introduce myself, I'm Johanna Järvinen. I work as a business development manager, and I'm here to talk about BREEAM and LEED International, and obviously linking that back to OneClickLCA software. So obviously how that's been developed to help you out. So quick rules for the summer school. So keep your microphone muted. You can ask questions, put it in the Q&A function, not to the chat, please. And we have a few of us here to help you with the questions. So some might be answered live, but some might be just given a written answer. And recording slides are made available next working day. So yesterday's slides, whoever attended and asked when they're ready, they should be with you today. So it takes a little bit of time to cut the video to suitable format. So you can also join our LinkedIn user group if you are interested in what we do and connect with people all about LCAs. So there is a link here on the slides. Who hasn't got the pay yet, there will be one in this slide set too. And today's agenda, we just go a little bit about what is BREEAM and BREEAM International, especially in the new construction 2016, and the material credits there. That is the key point today. There's obviously other credits, and then also go through LEED International MRC 1 and 2 credits, and then a little bit of a demo of the tools used and how and what they can be used of, and such. So without further ado, I guess we kick on. So a carbon footprint and LCAs can give points in the green building certification schemes. So obviously there is a lot more than these two. However, we're talking about today a LEED, which is a US Green Building Council created one, which has 4+2 points available for LCAs and EPDs. And then we talk about BREEAM International specifically, which has points for LCA and also EPDs in a 1 credit. And there is also credits for life cycle costing, which we don't touch today, but that's something to keep in mind. So obviously green building certifications are one way of giving credit to the building for their environmental credentials. And they have been quite well received around the world. They obviously do not come free, as you probably know, but they have been leading away to counting and benchmarking embodied carbon in the building. So they are kind of badges to get to your building, and more you can do, the better. So all these credits and the actual institutions like BREEAM and LEED have noticed that the embodied carbon is important, so they have given them more credits, or credit even. So first of all, we're going to touch on the BREEAM and the material 1 credit in the BREEAM International here. So BREEAM, who doesn't know, stands for BRE Environmental Assessment Method, and BRE stands for British Research Establishment. So BRE has been does a lot of other things and then BREEAM, but BREEAM is the assessment method that encourages and rewards environmental, social, and economic sustainability throughout the built environment. So BREEAM International New Construction Scheme is performance-based for new buildings. It covers also commercial buildings and residential. So if you are UK-based, then UK BREEAM does only cover commercial, but international covers both. So its primary aim is to mitigate the life cycle impacts of new buildings and environmental, and on the environment and in robust and cost-effective manner. And it will be ranked in the end from pass to outstanding, depending of the scores you will receive. So there is different kind of sections. So there is 9 section plus innovation section that you can get credits off. And then there's I think 47 assessment issues plus the innovation. And each section has a different weighting. So you can see here the different weightings here. So material credits are not necessarily the top, but they are quite close to being so. Energy is still in here a little bit more valuable per credit than materials, but they are a lot more valuable than they was like 2013 scheme, for example. And the material section its own has a 14 credits available, and they are on these 6 categories, from Mato 1 to Mato 6. But today we concentrate on just on the Mato 1 credit to life cycle impacts issue, and includes also the EPDs used in the building construction. So these are the kind of really quickly principles of BREEAM. If you have questions about a BREEAM sections or BREEAM itself, then do consult the BREEAM manual, which you can find from here. Today we are concentrating on the material section only. So the aim of the criteria is obviously to recognize and encourage use of robust and appropriate life cycle assessment tools, which we hopefully think we are, and also help specification construction materials with low environmental impact. I can't say environmental today, include. So including embodied carbon. So obviously there is quite a lot of credits available, 5 credits there, plus the exemplary, which can come from either EPDs or LCA. So there is a life cycle stage assessment need to be done. And also there is a calculator tool that BRE provides that provides you the scope, which I'll show you in a minute. There is some mandatory items that you have to include, and then there is other additional ones, and you have to do it in 2 stages: design stage and post-construction. So there is and then you have another credit there for using products which has environmental product declaration, at least 5 products in design stage, as same in post-construction, or 10 products, so you get even more credits. So those are the technicalities of it as written. So the requirement, like I said, has two LCAs, design stage and post-construction, because they have to be sent in both stages as new submissions. So with OneClickLCA, you can get 5 + 1 credits doing so if you use our calculator tool. There is a spreadsheet-based calculator, which I will, like I said, show in a minute, which calculate the number of credits. So that's obviously has to be used as a base, and the results will be has to be presented in 7 different impact categories, which are listed there. So that's again something that our tool does automatically. You don't need to calculate them. In sense, there is no need to meet any targets, so you just need to do these 2 LCAs. There is absolutely no benchmark or improvement requirement at the moment. And then EBDs you can gain by using EBDs for 5 products or 10 products. So those are the facts from that. And my favorite diagram, life cycle stages. So what's included, that's not the best presentation, but typically, or the tool enables you to calculate all of these -2, B2 and B3, but you don't normally include operational energy or water, or you shouldn't report it. But the tool will enable you to do so, but typically BRE is not interested here because this is dealt with Energy 1 credit, and this is dealt with Water 1 credit. So they are already dealt elsewhere. And also refrigerant leakages, they typically do not want, because they are also dealt with Pollution 1 credit. But you can also put other emission reductions there. So that's the usual life cycle stage. And then the stages of calculation. So obviously, like any LCA, you will need to find the type of building and size, what you are actually building. And then you have to fill, next stage definitely it's required to find the BRE submission tool, because that will define the scope for the project. So you have to see what elements need to be included, what are mandatory, and that will also, if you exclude too many, your credits will start going down. So there is a obviously set scope in that way. Then you have to collect your material information, or you can obviously import from different sources of information to OneClickLCA. Cost plans can be a good source early stages. Then obviously maybe some Revit drawings and so on, maybe later stage. And also you can obviously use manually or Carbon Designer or something. Do calculation, I said only one. Well, there's 2, one per stage, it should say. So 1 at design stage submission, and one the post-construction submission. So those are requirements. And then also collect your EBDs if you have any. Find minimum to get a credit, and then obviously check result and print your report. So the Mato1 tool that sets your scope looks like this. So these are typically only available for BREEAM assessors. So if you are asked to do something or so, then you should ask them to provide you this, because it's not publicly available typically. So this is how it looks like. So you have different calculators here. OneClickLCA is one. And let me just see if I can make this a little bit bigger, because it's a little bit small. So what you need to do here is answer all these questions. They should be right. You shouldn't change these. The main thing is that there is the mandatory elements present in a building. So are they actually there? Do you have any, I don't know, balustrade or handrails? You might not have them. And then you would just say, no, I don't include, I don't also have it. But these 5 here have to be included. Obviously, if you start excluding things that are, a lot of things that are present, but you don't include them, your score here will start going down. So you can, like say, you don't want any landscape, it doesn't affect your score yet. But if you are going to try to get your whole, these sums, which are 2, like your external walls, then you might start losing points, like it's mandatory, so you don't get any. So this has to be done first before you start getting any calculations there. There's a question, is A5 has to be included. I don't think it actually has to be included. You can include it, or it is overall material credit, but obviously BRE does like to collect data, so you can include. So I think, but I can double check that it might be required. So that's the kind of heart of your calculation, and obviously, like I said, it's not publicly available information typically. It's available for the assessor, so assessors should obviously give you this, and this is something you might want to also do, confirm with your design team. They probably are on the know that what elements there is in the building, especially if it's I don't know, just a fit out some sort, or if it's just a shell, then there might be things missing, and so do go through this and make sure it's correct, and so on. So anything like building services, hopefully we can accommodate pretty much all of it in our tool too, if you can get enough information. The BREEAM tool, you can obviously do more. You don't need to just do the 2 initial and post construction. You can do as many as you want. So obviously any LCA point that they should maybe spark people to think about some productions, but obviously it's not being requirement to reduce anything. However, or at least not yet. So that could be obviously good to start make people think that there is kind of better ways, not just one way. And you can obviously do optioneering in the tool. There is a set scope. So once you set that, it ticks the right boxes. The same tool is also, as you can see, can be used for Spanish, Swedish, and Danish, German BREEAM version. So that's the same scopes there. So it selects the right parts for you. So all that is preset for you. There's also workflows, so you can find the right workflow and you can follow it through, which can help you through the projects if you are doing it first time. Because all these tools are a little bit different to the other. So there's always some tricks that you need to remember to do so. So all relevant indicators are reported as they should be. So you don't need to worry about the units. So they are all provided, and then you have obviously a cross internal area indicated there as well. So, and you can get the BREEAM report, which goes to the BRE from here. So all of this is automated. You don't need to have any kind of other configurations to it, or try to calculate something else yourself. It's not required. I don't know if that was the question. We have a certain unit standard for indicator like mass or Joule? Well, these are the units, and there is a report that has all the data as well. So I think that probably answered your question. If not, to ask again. I will show you a BREEAM report and how it looks like in a bit. It is an Excel spreadsheet, so it's not too exciting, but I will show it. And then obviously EPDs, as you probably have spoken a lot about, it is a LCA for the product, which has been verified and published, and these are the ones that you can use to gain a credit under the Mato one, the one credit, or the exemplary if you have 10 of them. So it's 5 or 10 used, and then you can gain credit on those. So they're quite underrated, I think, in this scheme especially, but there is one credit there available. So yeah, either five products or 10 products specified. And there is obviously a quality requirement. So they must be valid and they must be compliant with the N1580 or the ISO 21930. So those both are accepted standards, but yeah, there is a whole quality requirements, and also expired data can't be used on this. So obviously there is a way of collecting this data in OneClickLCA. So especially if a big building can be quite timely or time consuming. So you can mark any data points that you have, you can mark that they have an EBD and by ticking it. And obviously you can download the EBDs from the data card. So once you click the question mark, you get your data card open and they can be downloaded. And once you tick all the products, it will give you a list on the results side or all the EBDs, and you can download them again. So there is a ways of getting the data out. So the marking, ticking a box and getting a list later on, it's quite useful. And then you can send them with your assessment. So there is we have tried to make it the reporting a little bit easier on the EBD side, because it's can be quite long-winded work if you have to find them from internet, for example. There is also other credits that we can support on the BREEAM side. So like I mentioned earlier, the life cycle costing. There is also a tool for Waste 05, the climate adoption, and MAT 03, so the buying responsible purchasing of materials, and also tool for material 5 for durability. The same MAT tool can be used for MAT 03 or MAT 05 really. So that's all on the same one, as well as obviously the EBDs. And there is also some tracking software that can be used. So there is a few other things in Norway. You can do energy force with that too. So we have some little pieces of tools for different credits, but the main issue is obviously the MAT 01 there. So that's about BREEAM. If you had any other questions on BREEAM, I can answer now, or we can move to the LEED side of things. And I'll do the demo for both in the end, so it's easier to probably follow. So on the LEED side, this is the MAT 05. The MAT 05 credit goes into the durability. So you have your different materials and you can mark them if they are vulnerable or not vulnerable, and then how and where they are and why they are such. So you can list, you use the LCA material data to section the line. So that's the material 05 tool can help you on that. So you can just have all the materials from LCA and then you mark them if they're vulnerable or not. So it's a vulnerability credit. So that can be done. I can also show you quickly how that works in the demo. So that is something we can do. The LEED rating system, then it's for all building types and all building phases, including new construction, interior fit outs. You could do in operation and maintenance as well, and core and shell, or as in this side of the world, I think we say shell and core. Projects, again, similar approach. A LEED certification, you go earn points for different green building strategies over several categories, and LEED, like BREEAM, has different categories. There's 6 plus some requisites and innovation. And within these sections, there's obviously various assessment issues. So you can score total of 110 points if you get every single one. But typically it's not possible. It is have quite a big uptake in some parts of the world, not so much in Europe, but US and Asia. Obviously, there is European ones, as like an Ireland, for example. But it has been assessed quite a lot of buildings using it. And the most current version is the version 4.1. You can find more details in the also in the website there. So there is a kind of registration process like in any other. So you have to confirm the eligibility and select appropriate rating system for it. So if it's a shell and go, it has different to new build and so on. You register your project, you complete your application. Obviously, there is some money changing hands somewhere, and then they will obviously get you assessing, and then you send your assessment through a portal, online portal to them, and they will assess it or audit the assessment and send you a certificate. So and it gives you building a badge from certified to platinum. So they're depending how much points you get in there. So material and resources category, what we are concentrating today, has 12 issues and 13 credits. So the MRC1 is the building lifecycle impact reduction. So that's purely based on doing LCA work. And then the RC2 is environment product declaration credit. So similar there. Again, not too many points from the EBDs compared to the LCA, but it is both there. There is also other material credits that has things to disassembly and refurbishment and material resource use and so on, but we don't talk them today. So these 12 issues has other material related items. You can find, I can show what they are, but there is also kind of, if you're reusing building or refurbishment, can get more credits because they reuse materials than a new build and so on. But that's beyond our scope today. The intent is, again, obviously encourage adaptive reuse and optimize the environment performance of products and materials. And again, it's done in 6 different environmental impact categories. Some of them are same than in BREEAM, some are a little bit different. So you do our tool obviously follows the standard, so you get the right ones. But so it quantifies these impact categories based on the materials you are putting in the building. And the LEED tool reporting scope, which matches exactly with the requirements of reporting, are here. So this doesn't include the A5 at all. Not that you have you can't actually include it in there. But the B emissions are B3, 4, and 5 are reported, and then the C only, no D is reported. So that's a little bit limited scope, even further reduced than BREEAM on the stages point of view. So to not compare the results from BREEAM International to LEED, because they would, the total would not match. And then you also get different points depending how many LCAs you do or how much improvement you can get. So if you just do LCA and not do anything else, you can get 1 point. But obviously, again, doing one LCA, it's a little bit not really interesting. To get 2 points, you need to improve 5% over 2 categories. So not just carbon, you have to improve it over 2 different ones, whichever they are. That's up to you. And then you have to get 3 points, you get 10% reduction overall in global warming potential, and then 2 two other impacts again. And then there is also even further points. And this includes the reuse and salvage materials in the project structure and enclosure proposed design. So you have to reduce it 20% and 10% reduction into other impact categories. So that can be quite hard to achieve, but it's obviously most onerous as well. I mean, it's if you have reusing part of structure, for example, then you could get that easily. So the scope again, you have in element basis, you have your structural elements and building envelope are the main consideration. You always exclude building technologies, finishes, and sites. This again, like if you try to compare these two certification results, you can't because they have a different scope altogether. Baseline and proposed design must always have, so once you do your baseline building and your proposed building can't be completely different shape. So you can't do a baseline building which is 60,000 square meters and made in concrete, and your other option is a 1,000 square meter timber building. So those are not, you can't compare them. They have to be all the same cross floor area and a function and orientation. And the energy performance have to comply with any standards. So obviously that can't fail energy regulations, for example. So those are there. What is programmatic function? So if it's a office, it will be office. So that's what programmatic function means. So if it's office with some retail on the bottom, then the other option has to have the same two functions. I'm not sure that just function would probably cover it. I don't know if the programmatic brings anything extra to that. But those are the requirements. So basically you have to compare like for like in a building shape. So you can see here some, but they have all same cross floor area, so you can compare them. So obviously benchmarks, obviously it's a question I think we have had when we've been doing LEED assessments in-house, thinking what is actually the usual benchmark building? Is it the one you do, or is it like can you just think that it's always going to be, typically the buildings in my city are built in concrete, so you can obviously OneClickLCA can find some benchmarks so you can see where the carbon footprint stands, or like where what's your normal buildings in town look like. Probably not like that. Or you can take the early design option, which is not to be really looked at, and just think about that. But we kind of use geometry and code. I'm not sure the code is the right word, but like thinking about the structure that there is typically in those countries and so on. So you can use those, which like a carbon designer, for example, have some archetypes there. So you could use that, for example, if you don't have any other options. So we have different LEED tools. This is probably a little bit old, but so we have the CML versions, so the LEED International, and then the DRASI versions, which are for US use. So those are all available for anyone in Europe who choose the international, and also the compliant workflows, which can be quite useful doing your assessment. Especially you can write notes and things like that. You can also get the comparison. So it's like I said, so you have to compare not just carbon, but all the other indicators and see if you have improved or not. So you can, you have your improved and the baseline, and you can see how that's gone. So you have reduced something. And then you can see also which indicators they are. Obviously, I have just made it worse. And then obviously carbon designer can help. There is different country's scope. So you could create a building typical of that area. Obviously, carbon designer, you get a shoebox shape unless you put a geometry in there, but you could use that as a base for your baseline. So that could be helpful. So also going further, the software can help you to see where you should improve it. So obviously you can see where's the biggest impact on the structural level, and then you can see on the material level as well, which has the highest impact. And so you don't waste your time, try to find something like the crown slab in this case wouldn't make any difference. So it's no point of looking at that into much of detail, but maybe some of these steels could be rethought and made some other choices there to bring the carbon footprint down, and other indicators as well. So the software can obviously point you right direction to where to start to look your reductions. And also on the construction side, you could just compare different constructions as well, and then go further into the layers and see if you find a better products for the layer by layer. So they say this construction is contained for these different materials, or 3-4 different materials, and then you could maybe find some reinforcement which has higher recycled content or better recycled content for your concrete, for example, or if you get thinner layers, all that will improve your carbon. Obviously, if you start thinning layers, then structural engineers should be consultant in there, as well as recycled content, because it will result for longer curing time, so it will have a impact on the program of the construction site if you add loads of recycled content over nothing. Maybe 10% might not need much more, but 40% will already impact it, definitely for the time on site, which then can increase some other costs and construction site impacts and all that. So you need to think about what's good, and also consult the other people, not just do LCAs in isolation, because then that won't be helpful to anyone. This just draws attention that there is some different regional ones, like carbon designer, so you can use that as a base for your baseline. So if you don't have a greatest idea what the typical buildings would look like in your area. So the MRC2 then is all about product declarations. So obviously to encourage the use of products and materials, which life cycle information is available, and obviously transparency is a key here, and selecting manufacturers who have verified the materials. So there is 2 options. One is using actual EPDs that are already available. So you can there is quite a lot more required here than in BREEAM, but and especially because it has to be only in permanently installed products from 3 different manufacturers. So it's on the warehouse and distribution center. So it can be it can't be just the one manufacturer that has loads of EPDs and they use all the materials. It has to be at least 5 different manufacturers. So that has been also thought. So obviously someone like some bigger manufacturers might have a EPD for all their product range, and that would kind of answer the question, but you can't do that. So there's 2 acceptable types of EPDs. So the internally verified, which complies with these 3 standards, or industry EPDs, which are then externally verified and published by the program operator, which is the type that we, for example, would prefer. Internally verified are obviously still valid, but it's not, once it's not published, it's not quite transparent. There's another option, which is you can give credit you get credits using many products that are to be verified and published in near future, and if they done some work and reports about that they are this much better than some other products. So that kind of reports can be also used in, there is a whole tables and what are acceptable and what are not. So easier option is get an EBD. That can take quite a lot of time from collecting information if the manufacturers are actually doing something. So yeah, those are the credit criteria and the types of credits. And obviously there is some differences in there, but also similarities. And I will then show you a bit in the OneClickLCA itself how you can deal with it. I think there was someone who wanted to ask something. Someone asked, increase adaptive reuse. What would baseline the entire structure or only the additions? That's a good question. I'll let my panelists to find the answer. I think typically it would be, in any other world, it would be that it would be taken down and rebuilt, would be the baseline. And so if you can reuse it, then that would be improvement. However, on the content of LEED, I need to double check what that would be. So we'll come back to that. So we'll come back to your adaptive reuse question. So here I'll just make it a little bit bigger so people can see it. I have created a project, so I'm going to the details. I have here some tools and have LEED projects and a BREEAM project here. So in here we have these other tools we mentioned. So your durability tool and different sourcing tools, BREEAM International for CML and also the BREEAM International, which also complies with the other couple of other schemes there. So if I go into the BREEAM tool, say first, so I have created some building here, which has a option. Let's say that this is the design stage and I want to do my post-construction. So if I just copy this, make it in project closeout, and let's say this is a PCR, BREEAM LCA, and then we select the scope. So if I select something else, it would change this. So I can obviously manually do, but modify it. But in here, you can just select the one and it gives you the right one. There is different construction type projects as well, but obviously this is for new construction. So we keep as such. And then we can add the project. And then we can go obviously modify the figures and materials and so on to what they are on the post-construction. So obviously design has been done in this occasion and we go, now they are obviously the same, so we don't care. And maybe you could have done some improved versions and present that to your design team and say we need improvements. So now we can obviously check what we have here, and if we had changed something between the design and post-construction, something could, well, not often, but something obviously could change is a, that's too small, let's put it more up, come on. Obviously something like external walls could have changed in different ones, or someone's decided to purchase some other material. So if I have a masonry cavity wall here and I have some gypsum plastered there and I don't longer need it, also I'm not reusing them, they should be all new. I can unbundle this, unbundle it and go and change change some of these materials to more appropriate, and maybe also see if I can. Obviously, I could just change things here too, but you don't necessarily need to unbundle. But if I wanted to change several, it might be easier to just modify all of them, so I can see. And then you can also see here the EBD mark, so I can start collecting my EBDs. So we have some regular plasterboard here, which is generic, but I now know that it has come from, I don't know, Knauf. So this doesn't have EBD, it's a generic data point. So maybe I can find a Knauf gypsum board. So I say I'll use something that's actually still valid, say this one. And now I can obviously also compare if it's better or worse, but that's kind of beyond the point because it's probably been built now. So we just replace it, and then we know it has an EBD because we've seen it. And then we can mark it here that it has an EBD. So for our list in here, so we can just click that, and then it will go into our list of EBDs. And then you can go through all the other things and see if we can change something or add more data. Then if you have like some warnings, you might want to check that what have you might done. But these are all fine. Then you have your energy consumption here, water. Typically wouldn't add them here. Construction site pressure you can add. I don't think it's any kind of mandatory on BREEAM, but you can add it here. You can also add B1 emissions in there. So there is some scenarios, or you can post-construction actually collect your contractors all information. You can also use it on the management section as an evidence. So you can find all electric data points, say, and if you know how much your contractor has used energy on site or diesel or what have you. So you can collect that kind of data. Then you have your emissions or removals, which again can be reported, but it's not necessary. And then you have your results here, which I can show. Then you can see. So we have the different indicators here. You get your carbon tons, your per year figures, per area, and then you have your results. We can change them obviously in decimal numbers. These are a little bit difficult to read because they're not in the right format in such. And the evidence report here, whomever asked it, you can print it over here. So, and you can get it to as an Excel. There. So you can download the Excel. So what it has all the different sections, the resource names, and then all the different indicators and so. And you can also do some private classifications, but the Excel will look a little bit uninteresting really, but BRE likes it, so we're happy. You can get one. There is a different ways of print that as well. You can print it just up top of the. So it's just a lot of numbers and all your data points that you selected and so on. So you can obviously modify it. So you have your whoever has done it, project name, design stage, and then the indicator. So what tool you used, and you have your resource names here and all the different results provided. So this is how it looks like. Or the collection of the data that's been imported basically in different life cycle stages. So that can be printed out. So that's available. You can also print one from here. And then you have your EBDs here collected. So you can also download them. You can use this for material efficiency. So it gives you the masses of the project. So you could use it for if you are wanting to do leaner buildings, you could also use the weight and different design decision how to make that work. So that's a different kind of dimension to it. Then you will need to do more iterations. 1 or 2 won't be stiff every design stage. And then you also your site impact. So if you wanted to use this, the reporting them in 03, you can also do that. So you just have to fill them in, or to put them in a different design can be also. And then you get, like I said, the most contributing factors. So that's so you can, if you needed to do reductions, you can look where to, and then you have your different charts here, and these can be all printed, as you probably are aware. And then you get obviously annual, so you can see where your replacement cycles are. There's things like spidergrams for different environment indicators and building parts, and also different material breakdown in different indicators here. So they can get quite detailed information if you so wish, and you can also just look some certain ones here if you so certain categories. And then you can get all the data sources listed in this format as well. So all that is useful, but basically BRE only wants to see your result summary. Your design team might be more interested of certain things. And saying about the workflows, you find them here. So you have always a description where it can be used, what to do, and then you can also add some marks that you've done it, and add some notes for yourself, and the guidance can be also found from the side. So there is a lot of help available on the workflows on that. Then the LEED baseline and improved. So obviously mine is not improved enough, so I probably need to improve something more. So again, you can see these inputs here are a little bit or a lot less. You basically only input into the material tab. There's obviously ways of inputting from different options. And then you have your different options here. So obviously if we now need to reduce something, we could have a look on the results chart here and see what are our biggest contributors. I have some woolen carpet. Well, we shouldn't really have a carpet here anyway because it's not in scope, but let's ignore that for now. But ready mix concrete, normal strength and hollow core. Maybe ready mix concrete, normal strength might be something that we could tackle. See what we have and what we could do. So this doesn't have a lot of recycled content, so maybe something that the contractor would be able to use, something which has more recycled content. That could be possible. I can create a new variant, so maybe I can just have a look here if I can change something. I can remove it, and then I can add more things here. My scroll has disappeared somewhere. So I can just save it like that, and then I have to add my concrete back in there. So I just have now. Yeah, well, I just have already concrete, so I just add concrete. Ready mix, and maybe we can find something which has a lot more recycled content, say 40% GBS. And I put same amount. I don't know if that's actually the case. Would I need to increase it? scroll has come back. And then I can include that. And I clearly has to unbundle that one to be able to actually delete it. It didn't want to delete it without me. And now I can delete the normal strength one. Which one is that? So now I can just delete that one, and then I have a better concrete option in my column, for example. So you can obviously find things to change, but you can't change something that would obviously change the whole building, smaller or larger. The cross floor area has to change, has to stay as it is. So you just can do some improvements and see what you could maybe thinner some insulation that the energy assessor said you don't need that much, so we can take that off, and so on. So there is a ways of improving. And then when you look at the results, maybe we looked this time in actual, look on the baseline and see, then we can see the results on the what is the improvement might look like. So if I go to the results section here, then I can compare designs from here. So now you can have your LEED results. So you have your different categories, and these are the only things reported. There is some pop-up ones, so you can get some from there. And then you can also compare your design to the other and see if there are actually improvements of any kind. Some has mainly more. So my improvements has failed badly. And then obviously in here you have also more materials. So the sidebar only shows you 5, but the actual results page shows you more options to look at. And then you have different pie charts like the BREEAM did have, so similar kind of presentation. So some are a little bit more interesting than others. They have a one for each by looks of it. So they all have a little bit different presentations there. And the similar reports, there is a LCA report, and then there's also a Word report that LEED wants you to send. So you can also find the workflow here. You could find submit the credit document, and also there's like a report generation and guidance and how to report to them. And in here you can find again kind of Excel version. So you can always have an Excel there, and you can choose which one, and then you have one Excel, and you could have another Excel obviously for the improved version. So those are always there. This is still the BREEAM. There we go. So it looks the same or similar on that matter. And then you have your Word report that can be also created from here, and then you can modify it to suit. So it takes some of these graphs automatically, so you don't need to necessarily download them, paste them to the report. So it starts creating you a kind of reporting already, except it gone to my other screen. So you have it here. So it creates you a bit of a reporting format. So LEED asks you to do actual report. BREEAM International is more interested of Excel spreadsheets on those. is there any questions about? There is few questions. The adaptability still has to come to. Can we move element from vertical structures to horizontal structure? There is no, you can do like a column spacing work. It doesn't change the difference. But do you mean physically change it on the software, or do you mean is that allowed as in from baseline to improved? If Tara, Tom, you could elaborate that, because you can move these. You can move materials to different places. That is perfectly possible. So if it's gone the wrong place, you just move them to somewhere else. But if you think on design wise, if you can design a building and remove, I don't know, columns and say that's perfectly acceptable. The exam questions are to be answered in separation. Nothing has gone out yet, so don't worry. If you need to do an alternative test, you will be informed. And exam results will be sent also after the school has finished, which is after Thursday. So those I have for you. I don't have anything else. Any other things that you would like to see? I could show let's show you the math. So these other tools here, which can be used for BREEAM International, like the durability. So basically it runs parallel with the LCA. So it has all the same materials. Then you can kind of say if it's vulnerable or not, and where it is. And then like maybe foundations are not vulnerable. And the description applied protection, saying like, I don't know, some sort of kick plate. And factors, environmental factor, I don't know, extreme weather. Don't make any sense, but this is how you can use the Mat5 tool. And what you get as a results is then you get these things listed. Obviously, in BREEAM world, you would still need to submit them a drawing that these all come from. So you have to actually physically see that these protection measures will be applied. But that kind of things are possible to do. On that, it's that's it. And the material. 3 has again similar. So you have all the materials, then you have to find yourself all the protection, the responsible sourcing. So what kind of responsible sourcing has been applied? So if it's BES 6001 or ISO or so, and then if it's, you can also cut them for APDs if you want to do it here too. Although if you've already done it on the other, doesn't really matter. And then you can put them in a different categories. So obviously that kind of fills in the similar sort of a spreadsheet that is required for submission for BRE on this issue, if you wanted to use that, except now I can find, there we go. EPS installation. It's plastic. So you can do that kind of work, and then you get results, just listed materials and what certification they are, but obviously you would have to fill in kind of the manufacturers and so on yourself. So these are something that can be helpful, but I mean, they're not necessary in any way or form. But we do have this kind of tools still available. In that sense, so then you get a list what you haven't specified, what you have, and so on. So you can do that kind of work. That I could only think of. What else do we have? A climate change. So this has had a vulnerability assessment and also adaptation and climate change data. So it's more like a report base, I would say, than actual tool as such. So you can obviously find some databases you can link yourself to, for example, and then you can see what hazards there for wind and so on. So you can select certain things, go to these different databases and search what there is. So it kind of involves you to do quite a lot of research, and also you can then do a whole reporting and using this template, but it is not kind of automating anything really. It's just more reporting template, I would say. So I'm not going into that too much. And then obviously when you have options, you can compare two options in the results, but you can also do comparison here. So you have your two different options in this sense. So you can compare them in different formats. You can do it with your own as well, but I haven't classified anything. And then from here you can change it. So if I wanted to look at the BREEAM comparisons or LEED comparisons, I can change them to it. So this has then different categories and different ways of looking at it than the LEED as such. If I just want to compare external walls, say that's where I made my changes and see what the difference is. I can, maybe I just want to find the materials. Well, they're exactly the same, but there they are. And so on. So you can do different comparisons and different material levels. So you can drill into the more details if you so wish, or just do compliance work. It's kind of up to you how you present it. Also in here you can see where's the biggest impact of selected design. So you can change different ones. And then also I have office here. But if I wanted to compare it more globally, not just in UK wide, then I can go here and do my Western Europe office comparison and see how I look then. So you can change it to different ones. The scale changes a bit there. That. Someone's asking if you can do BREEAM assessment in the tool with summer school license. I would suspect not, because they are certified certification licenses. So we typically wouldn't can't give them out for no cost. You can buy one. we can. That's not a problem. But no, we don't typically give them. Especially because we have quite a few different BREEAM tools. One doesn't fit for all. Yeah, Tara, if you could elaborate your question a bit. That's what you meant by vertical and horizontal structures, then if the answer wasn't what you looked for. Yes, I just said everyone has done an exam on Friday. The summer school is still ongoing on Thursday. No one will have got any exam result until this whole school is finished. So we hope Friday might be beginning of next week. Your exams results earliest. So that has been answered a few times here. I didn't know if you had anything further. If you want to ask some questions, to ask. I'm just going to show that we have some open and near future positions opening. Maybe some touching this. So if you are feeling that you fit in some of these positions, then do get in touch. They all, well, not all, the 3 of them are advertised in our website. And then there is other ones which are coming, but there you can email already. And you're interested, careers on OneClickLCA.com with the heading of your position and a CV to see what will you be interested of. So we are actively hiring around different functions of the business and also globally. So there is places there. So yeah, if you have any further questions, happy to answer anything or show something that you are interested to see. And then we'll find actually out about the LEED refurbishment question, which I have. You see someone's hand up, but I can't find the person. I don't know if that's meant to be up. Well, that was a little bit shortened version, but I hope it was useful. Kind of got introduction. The slides will have links to the actual certification pages, so you will probably find more information to have a look. And obviously the BREEAM manuals, I think, are publicly available. LEED manuals, I think, will have more. I think they might even have a cost. So the BREEAM manual are definitely available, and then you can go from there. But no further. If there's nothing further, thank you for attending and listening. And there's few more sections or presentations or lectures to come this week. So there's 2 more. So to listen in if you are interested, you might learn something new. Otherwise, you are welcome to leave. Good. All more information helps. Thank you, everyone.